Sometimes I wonder why it takes so long for evil men to die. But I want you to know that when you go, you won't be missed. And the ground where you'll lay, we're all gonna take a big giant piss. And for your end, we all anticipate, without any love and too exhausted to hate. Your long-lasting legacy will be one of disgrace and shame. Throughout the annals of history, your name will shrink, you'll lose your fame. And as you lay there drawing in your final breath, just know that you made us happiest in death. You will not be thought of kindly, and you won't be missed. And like I said before, on the ground you'll lay, I'm gonna take a big old piss.
It's not hard to imagine Donald Trump leading us into a war just because somebody got under his very thin skin. Donald Trump's ideas aren't just different, they are dangerously incoherent. They're not even really ideas, just a series of bizarre rants, personal feuds, and outright lies. This is not someone who should ever have the nuclear codes, because it's not hard to imagine Donald Trump leading us into a war just because somebody got under his very thin skin. We cannot put the security of our children and grandchildren in Donald Trump's hands. We cannot let him roll the dice with America. This is a man who said that more countries should have nuclear weapons, including Saudi Arabia. He believes we can treat the U.S. economy like one of his casinos and default on our debts to the rest of the world, which would cause an economic catastrophe far worse than anything we experienced in 2008. He says he doesn't have to listen to our generals or admirals, our ambassadors and other high officials, because he has, quote, a very good brain. He praises dictators like Vladimir Putin and picks fights with our friends, including the British Prime Minister, the Mayor of London, the German Chancellor, the President of Mexico, and the Pope. He says he has foreign policy experience because he ran the Miss Universe pageant in Russia.
I think it's interesting that in none of the lead up to what you're discussing now with Thomas Massie, did anybody name the number one thing that caused Donald Trump to push out Massie in the first place, and that was his support, Massie's support for the Epstein files. That's why this is all happening. That's why Donald Trump turned on him, which is especially ironic given the fact that Trump and all of his administration officials were falling over themselves to demand the release of the Epstein files when they were just on the campaign. But as soon as it became clear that Trump was implicated in those files, that his name was listed in those files, God knows how many times, then all of a sudden they wanted Massie out.
Brian, we all know that President Trump signed legislation to release millions of Epstein documents, and he is not implicated criminally in any of this.
3.5 million files they refused to release.
In any of this. So for you to imply that there are crimes committed is completely dishonest. Ashley, your response to that.
So then why don't they release the other 3.5 million files?
That's not why President Trump went after Thomas Massie, as Ashley eloquently pointed out. But Ashley, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that. I mean, Massie's been a problem for a long, long time. I mean, obviously, this is his 8th term. I mean, he doesn't vote with us ever. So I understand your talking point in regards to the Epstein files on the Democrat side, but that has nothing to do with how bad of a Republican member he was.
Neither one of you Neither one of you think that the Epstein files had anything to do with Trump turning on Thomas Massey?
No,
Brian,
no, Massey
no.
hasn't voted for any of the Republican priorities. Not the big, big beautiful bill. Nothing.
It's funny to me. I understand. Like everybody has to pretend that the Epstein files on the right has to pretend that the Epstein files are not a thing anymore. But everybody watching and everybody who's going to see this on the internet is going to know how clownish all of this is. That you are both pretending like the Epstein files had nothing to do with this, when the people that Trump has turned on, he's done as a direct result of their support
Brian,
for the Epstein files.
The president has been very clear over and over again for months why he believed that Thomas Massey was not the man for the job. The person who replaced him is a former Navy SEAL who is going to go in and vote for the party, for the country, for the president's agenda, when this is a district that President Trump won by 85%. So I know that Democrats only started to care about the Epstein files when it was politically convenient for them. They had nothing to say about it for 4 years under Joe Biden. When he was in charge of the DOJ, they were releasing nothing. President Trump is the one who decided to sign the legislation to release these documents. And I find it quite interesting that when I ask you who is the leader of the Democratic Party, when Barack Obama and Kamala Harris got their butts kicked tonight in Georgia and in other places around the country, losing that Supreme Court case in Georgia, losing the redistricting fight in Virginia, losing the fight in Louisiana, losing the fight all over the map, you want to change the subject and talk about the Epstein files once again.
Answer me just one question. Did they release all of the files?
They are in the process of redacting to release all the files because we want to make sure, and I would hope you would agree with this. Look, I'm not going to allow a conversation that's supposed to be about elections to be derailed by you to talk about the Epstein files when you don't want to talk about how the Democrats lost tonight. They continue to lose. Ashley,
Thomas Massey is not in Congress for one reason.
Democrats are losing to President Trump. He is the leader of the party.
He co-sponsored the Epstein files.
Brian can't even tell me who's in charge of the Democratic Party because Barack Obama clearly isn't. He keeps losing.
Of course
so
he's
Ashley,
not.
what shape are Democrats in when it comes to November? Brian, stop talking over me. I'm going to cut your mic. Stop talking over everybody. Nobody can hear you. No one can understand what you're saying. We'd like to have a conversation, not a talking over each other.
Don't talk to me about waste, fraud, and abuse. Don't talk to me about balancing a budget. When you talk to me about eliminating things like science, when you talk to me about eliminating healthcare, when you talk to me about the legitimacy of not funding our schools and education, don't talk to me about that stuff when you have a president that you're getting ready to allow to do $1.8 billion worth of slush funds because he wants to, and then to exempt himself from any kind of oversight, him, his family, and his companies. Don't use that language in association with the corruption. Don't hold your heads down. Stand up for this country. Find your spine and say no to Donald Trump, to this amendment, and to moving forward in this environment. Our children need your strength. I yield back.
That are in organizations that are absolutely white supremacy organizations should get our tax dollars because they decided to tear apart or attempt to tear apart our democracy. They are being rewarded. These are people that went through our criminal justice system. When people on that side of the aisle claim that they love law and order, they went through it. They either entered pleas of guilty or they were found guilty. And this president, on day one, his priority was not around racism. It was around doing things like letting them go and now putting money in their pockets. We haven't had one hearing on white supremacy. Yet when we look at things like the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the 9 worshipers who were murdered at the Mother Emanuel AME Church, the 23 people murdered in 2019 during the shooting at Walmart in El Paso, the 10 people murdered during the 2022 shooting at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York, All of these were murdered by white supremacists who are empowered by the Republican Party's racist rhetoric and policies. This is the same party that wants to drag us back to the Jim Crow era. Some say that there aren't poll taxes, and I guess it's because they're not listing the amount of money. But when you tell somebody that they've got to go and pay for something, say, like a passport that costs over $100 in order to be able to vote, that looks like a poll tax to me. Some of y'all need to read up on your history books, the very same ones that the Republicans have decided that people should not hear about, because you don't want real history taught in our schools because you're afraid that it's going to hurt people's feelings to know that their ancestors were so savage that they would enslave black folk. You don't want them to understand why the 14th Amendment mattered then and it matters today. You don't want them to understand that when they draw these racist lines and tell black folk that they shouldn't have representation in this country, that it is against the Constitution. You want them to be ignorant so that they can sit up here and be your token for your mission.
Has expired. Well, you can't yield because you've done run out of time.
Republicans are talking about the great night that they had, and President Trump did have a good night in terms of his endorsements. I want to unpack what happened in some of these races. But so he's saying they're out there, you know, riding high, saying, you know, we're on our way to this. Virginia didn't end up going our way. Right now, Cook has the Republicans with a +5 advantage in the House. That's not assuming that we can pick up Virginia 1 and 2 and North Carolina 1, which I think that we can. But he's saying we got to bring this back down to earth and let's talk about the facts on the ground, which is not that Democrats are spiraling, but that we have, according to the latest polling the last 2 days, Quinnipiac and the New York Times, a 10+ point advantage on the generic ballot. President Trump is at a 34% approval rating in the Quinnipiac poll, and he's underwater 18 points with independents. So last night, he can feel really good about what happened with Thomas Massie, but that district was a Trump +35, and they only won by 10 points, and they had to spend $35 million on it. It usually costs $100,000 to $500,000 to win a primary. $35 million, tens of millions of dollars coming in from outside groups. I was astounded by this. You watch the parties at the end of the night. Thomas Massie's party, packed. Ed Gelrain, is that how you pronounce it? Has nobody there, no state lawmakers. He got 70 donors in total from Kentucky, whereas Thomas Massie had over 1,500 donations. This was about outside money and Donald Trump going after him, and he didn't even win as big as he should have. You look in Georgia, who John Ossoff may swear off against. There's going to be a runoff, both of them lockstep with Donald Trump in arguably a purple state right now where Ossoff has a big advantage. The endorsement of Ken Paxton yesterday, probably not that good for the Republicans. Brian Kilmeade was talking about it this morning. The guy was impeached by his own colleagues, too repugnant for Republicans, wife leaving him, divorcing him on biblical grounds. And then Trump is out there, and his platform is, I want absolute loyalty. I want to trade stocks, make hundreds of millions of dollars. I want my 1776 fund to make sure J6ers, you know, get the money that they're owed. I want immunity for me and my family from an audit forevermore. His kids are making tons of money. That's not a compelling platform. There's no, this is your healthcare plan. This is like, I want to get rich and I don't care that you are poorer. So that's what last night told me.
Wow.
And we need basic decency. We need basic decency. That's what the Epstein Files Transparency Act was all about. By the way, today is the 6-month anniversary of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. We've taken out 24 CEOs, an ambassador, a prince, a prime minister, a minister of culture. And that was just 6 months. I got 7 months left in Congress.
Choice for Texas Senate. You got Tallarico here at 44%. And then look at here. Ken Paxton, a Republican in Texas. The best he can do at this point is averaging 40% of the vote. I mean, I was looking at all the polling I could find. This is the best that a Democrat for Senate has been polling since like 2002. That is a very long time ago. When you have to go all the way back since I was in middle school, you know that the Democrat in this particular case is polling well in Texas.
I'm not a fan of slush funds as a vehicle. I'm glad that you're outraged about $1 billion. I was also outraged about
Biden's not president.
$400 billion.
Biden's not president anymore. Justify this. Let's stay on topic. Justify this. You're okay with this? You think this is an honorable use of taxpayer dollars?
So, look, I think
yes or no.
Yes or no. I don't answer to you.
No, you can answer to the American people. Go ahead. I'm asking you a simple question. The millions of people watching right now, answer to them.
What is it?
You think this is honorable?
I do not.
Thank you very much.
So the law.
You can't say yes or no. It's crazy.
Answer the question.
Wow.
What do you?
Let's not act like it's not about January 6th. Trump said it today. He's been claiming that the January 6th insurrectionists, who he pardoned on day one, which is also a disgrace.
All of them.
All of them. That's right. The ones
not case by case.
That's correct.
All of them.
And that he said it was about them. They were treated so poorly and all of that. Good luck, Republicans, trying to justify that when you have the families of hundreds of officers and officers like Harry Dunn and Gunnell and Fanone and Daniel Hodges who have stood up and lost their careers to stand up to say what they went through that day and what the American people saw, and they're trying to rewrite history. This is an affront to every law enforcement officer who put themselves between those traitorous bastards on that day and our democracy to protect it, that Donald Trump and the people who support him and the Todd Blanchers of the world would actually try to say this is some kind of patriotic thing using a number like 1776 to give reparations or retribution to repay those people for those bad acts.
So that's exactly what it was.
Outrageous.
And this is what it is.
And he's not getting any money out of it.
Okay, it was 2 years. It was 2 years.
But it's 1.776 billion.
And 2 years after the statute of limitations on this, it was not the federal government who did this. It was an individual contractor. The Supreme Court has ruled
just
3
magically
times.
on his own.
The Supreme Court has ruled 3 times in precedent since 1911 that you cannot be the judge of yourself on anything. And so Donald Trump is sued himself to get a fund, now settled with himself, to get a fund where he's going to write a check for himself. We all know that this is bullshit.
You agree with the leak?
This is a MAGA victimization fund that is sanctioned by Donald Trump. How dare he? How dare he? You look in the face and you justify this to the families of the police officers who were beaten, who were almost killed, to the people who were killed, to the people whose careers are ruined. I don't know about you, Scott, but I've spent time with those officers and their families, and their lives have been ruined. And unlike you, tonight you're saying this, but Todd Blanche could not say that today during his Senate hearing. Neither could J.D. Vance say and guarantee to the American people that any of those violent bastards who did that to those people who tried to overthrow our election on January 6th would not get a dime from this. American tax dollars should not go to this. This is dishonorable. It's grotesque. And anyone who tries to hide behind some kind of patriotism behind this should be ashamed of themselves. Look in the eyes of the families of the people who suffered on January 6th. You know who the victim is here? Them and our democracy. And shame on anyone who tries to justify this. And it's our dollars that they're robbing to do this. It's grotesque and despicable.
And it's also unconstitutional.
Absolutely. And I'm glad to see Jamie Raskin and the Democrats are going to challenge it.
Donald Trump is about to hand $1.7 billion of your taxpayer money to the January 6th rioters. The January 6th rioters. The brain-rotted MAGA cult mob that stormed the United States Capitol, beating police officers with flagpoles and fire extinguishers. The snarling pack of conspiracy-drunk lunatics who crushed cops in doorways while officers screamed beneath piles of bodies and tactical boots and swinging fists. They erected a gallows outside the Capitol, a fucking gallows, an execution platform standing beside the seat of American democracy while the crowd screamed, "Hang Mike Pence." Windows exploded, blood smeared across walls. Officers were dragged down steps and trampled while lawmakers ran for their lives through the halls of Congress. And inside the Capitol, those feral traitorous cultists smeared human feces on the walls of the United States Capitol. Human feces. Like the entire attack was not just violence, but desecration, a ritual humiliation of democracy itself carried out by a mob too stupid to understand the country they were destroying. And Donald Trump sat there and watched it for 187 minutes, sat there while police officers bled, sat there while the Capitol fell under assault, sat there while the mob he sent to Washington hunted elected officials through the halls of Congress. He watched it like Nero watching Rome burn, like Cersei Lannister staring out over wildfire and ash. For as long as I live, I will never understand how January 6th was not the end of Donald Trump. I will never understand how the man who unleashed that attack on the Capitol was not politically exiled forever. Because now, after pardoning those insurrectionist thugs, after calling them patriots and martyrs, this malignant traitor now wants to reward them with a reported $1.7 billion taxpayer-funded slush fund. Our money. Meanwhile, the Capitol Police officers they brutalized are left carrying traumatic brain injuries, PTSD, broken bones, nightmares, shattered careers, and permanent trauma. The attackers get pardons, the defenders get scars. That's what this country has become under Donald Trump, a place where violent extremism gets rehabilitated in real time, where an attempted overthrow of the government gets repackaged as victimhood, where the mob that stormed the Capitol gets treated like persecuted heroes instead of what they actually were. A brainless cult army throwing a bloody tantrum because their authoritarian messiah lost an election. And every time I think this country has finally reached the bottom of moral collapse, Donald Trump somehow finds a fucking shovel.
Hey, did you see this? Yeah, I don't mean $4.89 for gas in my town, which it is. I mean this. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be the first of many lawsuits. Go get it, boys.
We're doing what you're doing. Good to see you. Thanks.
Governor, quick question for Midas Touch.
Yeah.
What do you make of this $1.776 billion fund that
It's
Trump's
a criminal
proposing for-
enterprise. It's not just corruption. It's not just graft. It's a full-on criminal enterprise, and it needs to be shut down. It needs to be stopped. It's a disgrace. And I count on my congressman to do it. Sorry.
1966, Barry Goldwater told William F. Buckley Jr. that his greatest fear as a conservative was a president that would use the powers of the office to destroy everyone who disagreed with him. Barry Goldwater also warned about the influence of the religious right on the Republican Party.
What the fuck is this shit? God, I'm fucking over this goddamn gas. I'm calling Matt. Fucking over this shit, dude. Fucking, I'm tired of this fucking shit right the fuck. God damn. Fucking Jolly calling. What's up, man? Yo, Matt, what's up, bro? So, have you seen gas lately? Because I just spent $112 filling up my fucking truck.
Yeah, no shit. My kid might not go to college this semester.
That and the war in Iran, I'm kind of fucking tired of it.
What do you got up your sleeve?
Hang on, Gunny's calling. Hang on. Yo, Gunny.
Hey, Joe, what are you doing?
I'm adding you in my call with me and Matt. Yo, Gunny.
Yo.
Fucking, I'm tired of the gas. I'm tired of the war in Iran. I'm tired of Trump.
Same, dude. Same.
I'm sick of this shit too, man.
Bro, let's just fucking go to DC. Let's raid that bitch.
When?
Tomorrow. Fuck waiting. I'm pissed now.
All right, bet.
All right, let me wipe my ass real quick.
Meet me there. I'll tell you the plan. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. I got a bunch of other veterans, called the whole fucking roster. We're gonna load everybody up on a bus, raid Capitol Hill at 11:30.
11:30.
11:30.
All right.
12:30, we're gonna raid, not the actual White House, right outside the White House.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull up with all the veterans, raise a lot of hell, no more wars, end the war in Iran, gas is too fucking high, impeach Trump, you in.
Yeah,
I'm in. Let's fucking do it.
Let's go.
It's time for the Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The Trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the Trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the Trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello. All right, sounds like we're on. It's 9:31 a.m. in the Pacific time zone. Currently already 79 degrees here in beautiful Las Vegas with an expected high of 95 today. So warming back up. The last few days have been a little cooler, a little nicer, and it's going to be 95 today. Thanks for being here, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that intro. Today's theme being, of course, the $1.776 billion slush fund. What do you think of that? Doesn't that sound patriotic? 1.776 billion? I mean, it doesn't get any more patriotic than that, right? I mean, come on. You're going to try to tell me that this is not a patriotic president? He's going to give $1.776 billion away to those poor Jan 6 victims. That were treated so poorly because just for being traitors, I guess. I don't know. Anyhow, excuse me, I am still. Well, during the intro, I ran over to 7-Eleven, bought one of these croissant breakfast sandwiches. I like the croissant ones. They're pretty good. They're not bad. Anyhow, I'm not able to scroll back to the top to the beginning of the chat. I do believe I saw Aaron first and I think Jolie second. And Paul Burrows, I think. So I believe, I'm pretty sure that makes us, or puts us at, let me finish this bite. Full mod capacity. Full, I believe, unless someone left. Because that is a while ago now, I guess. Anyhow, thanks for being here. I see DPD 5844 is here. Roxanne 79 is here. Hello, Roxanne. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. There's Paul Burrows. He's just trying to make sense of it all. Nick Rich is here. Josh C's. Always good to see Josh C's in the old driver's lounge. William is here. Hello, William. Thanks for being here. Anna Moore. Always good to see Anna Moore. Thanks for being here. And also, a little update. I believe we are at 4,460 on our way to 5,000. What is 5,000? When we hit 5,000? That's 5K Hennessy Day. So we're getting closer to 5K Hennessy Day. Thanks everyone for watching and liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. That'd be a great thing if you just would hit that little subscribe button, which I don't think is green, but whatever. Again, just thanks everyone for being here. Thank you guys so much for all your support with donations and subbing and everything you guys do. Would not be possible without you guys to do the old Trucker John live stream. Hope you guys like the new song. I played it again, my new song. At the very beginning, that was a song that I wrote. Actually, it's funny. Are you supposed to like your own things that you make? I think you are. It's okay to like him, right? Like if you knitted a sweater and you liked it, that's okay, right? Well, I like my new song that I wrote. I think it's kind of catchy and it kind of sums up a lot of feelings that a lot of people have, I think. Anyhow, so I hope it's okay that I like my own song. I think and I like it. Let's see who else is here. Nick Rich, Epstein Gate is Donnie's fate, and it's too late to obfuscate about anything that's on his plate. That sounds like just an a rhyming scheme, right? Anyhow, fuck the AB or anything like that. Just a. DPD says, how can BTC deal with this shit? Come on, man. You couldn't handle that? He did a really good job. He got some good shots in there. It's a good thing he has a thicker skin than some of us in the chat, because otherwise he wouldn't have been there to get those shots in. I don't understand people sometimes. Why do you want to mute stuff? What, you guys can't handle what's going on? You can't handle it? Sometimes you gotta hear some uncomfortable shit. Roxanne 79. I addressed this last week, I think. You weren't here, I guess. Talking about Sandy. Sandy has been exiled, okay? She has been exiled. She's been blocked. And believe me, she should not be missed. She was a bad person, okay? Liberal Dan's here. Hey, Liberal Dan, good to see you. Oh, I see you guys explained that. Okay, thank you. DPD says the majority of money that was aimed to take Massey down was AIPAC donations. I'm going to look that up. I got to look it up. DPD, I got to look it up. I wish my iPad was faster. But, I can't just let things slide like that. I wish I could type. Damn it. I spend more time backspacing than anything. Okay. it says the vast majority of donations against Representative Thomas Massey in his 2026 Republican primary were outside state funds, spearheaded by pro-Israel groups, particularly AIPAC and the Republican Jewish Coalition. Well, they're Republican. The RJC, okay, they're Republican, so that makes sense. But AIPAC, so pro-Israel super PACs, organizations like AIPAC's United Democracy Project spent millions directly opposing Massey, citing his criticisms of the lobby and his opposition to the joint U.S.-Israel war in Iran. All right, you were right. It sounds like you were right. Looks like you were right, DPD. But now I know. And it just makes me want to say, fuck AIPAC. More and more. Because you know what? I also oppose the joint U.S.-Israel war in Iran. So fuck you, AIPAC. It says Trump-aligned donors. So they just sort of have bullet points. They list AIPAC first. And then, so I don't know if this is any order or, what, or anything like that, but then they have Trump-aligned donors, major conservative mega donors, and pro-Trump super PACs poured funds into the race. Now, look, record-breaking spending, and I think this was in the clip, right? Somewhere in the clip, in the intro. It says record-breaking spending. The primary became the most expensive House primary in U.S. history, with an estimated $32 million spent overall by the candidates. Now, was it in the intro, or did I hear it maybe on Stephanie Miller this morning? And I can't start to keep everything straight. That a House primary campaign is usually like, I think they said they usually spend between, I think she said 50,000, between 50,000 and 100,000 or something like that, which seems like in today's day and age, that seems like pocket change. You know what I mean? So they spent over $30 million. That's what it took for them to beat Massey. So think of it that way. These super PACs and AIPAC had to spend multiple millions of dollars to beat Massey. That should tell you something. Josh C says, hey, happy late birthday. I was driving and listening last night. That's right. Liberal Dan. I was working last night too, and I didn't watch the show. So I wasn't able to wish you a happy birthday, but happy belated birthday to Liberal Dan. Nick Rich, Scott Jennings is an asshole. Scott Jennings is a complete 100% asshole. Hey, Christina Weibel's here. Oh, hello, Christina. Good to see you. Roxanne says, I mod for my brother, and he has a stalker that I have to watch for. She does the same thing. I don't know what OTS means, but, or maybe it's been years. Okay. Yeah, you never know all these acronyms and shit. Like that might have been an acronym. OTS might have been like Oh, the shit. I don't know. But I figured it out. I forgot to block her because she was on my Facebook. You know, I had allowed her to follow me on Facebook, you know, months ago or whatever. And I forgot to block her there. And then the other day, I saw that she sent a message like begging to come back or to unblock her. And so then I just hit the block button again for Facebook. So now she's blocked off of Facebook. Nick Rich says at least one woman refused the pardon offered to her for her J6 participation. I think I remember that story. I think she kind of woke up. She kind of got woke. Christina Weibel says I still have nightmares about this. I think the J6 thing. Jolie, hope everything's going okay with you. Jolie had a mammogram, so I hope that all is okay. Hope those are okay. DPD, and yet they want to pretend J6 never happened. Yeah, make up your minds, J6ers. Are you going to own it or are you going to not own it? I mean, what's the deal? You know? They'll all be admitting it now if they think they can get some money out of it. Christina Weibel says, between the Epstein files and Jan 6, I'm sick and tired of this shit. Don't get me started on the corruption. The most corrupt we've ever been, the most corrupt administration is by far the Trump administration. DPD says we should all be marching straight up to 1600 pedophile Pennsylvania Avenue. I agree. We should be. We should be out in the streets. I agree. Petrazi's here. Hey, Petrazi, good to see you. I also bought a cookie, a 2-pack. I ate one during the intro. I was really hungry. And I like these cookies. They're really good. I really like them. Get that thing out of your hand. That is disgusting. What the hell are you? You're going to eat that right in front of me, Trucker John? How dare you? You're going to eat that cookie, that precious little baby cookie right in front of me? You monster. That's it. I quit. I'm out of here. I forgot that was a touchy subject with Tough Cookie. He kind of sees it as being, I don't know, barbaric or something. Sorry about that. Tough. He just walked out. He's gone. I think we lost Tough Cookie. He'll be back. Go get him, Paul. Go get him. So we got Rosanna 21. 21 Forever is here. When was this channel created? I think I created this channel, I think was it 2008? I know you can go in and look, but I forgot. I've been on this channel for a long, long, long time. When I first started, it wasn't even called Trucker John. I think it was just John Fowler or, I don't even know. There's been a few different names. But when I first started, it was probably just my name. And I was just posting kind of like just family videos, just so the family wanted to check it out or whatever. Oh my God. Michael McAndrews, you son of a gun, you and Fancy. Yippee! Thank you so much, Michael McAndrews. That's crazy, man. Thank you so much. $100 dono from Fancy and me. So I understand you guys are an item. Congratulations, by the way. I'm always happy to hear when good things happen and people get together and are happy. So thank you so much. But thank you. Yippee, 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 yippee to Michael and Fancy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. That will make it where, you know how I said, sort of like my little goal, not that you guys care about this kind of stuff, but I told you guys, I told you guys how much I make off this channel, and it averages out to about $300 a month for everything. That's what it's mainly super chats and memberships. And by the way, we have memberships starting at $1.99 a month, and we have middle tier ones for $4.99, I think it is. But and last month I made, I think, $2.89, and I should be getting paid for that like any second now, because today's the 21st. They usually pays around the 21st. And I told you how like I kind of, my goal is to kind of like try to do more than I did the previous month, and we were below that, $2.89. But you know, and here we are at the 21st. With that dono though, that puts us still a little shy of the $2.89. But anyhow, just so if you want to know, if you guys are curious what YouTube channels make when they're monetized and shit, I have 4,460 subscribers. I've got 52 members and average about $300 a month. Just in case anyone was wondering or curious. Liberal Dan will say that, I mean, Liberal Dan says that Trump will say that he was the biggest victim. So he'll pay, he'll pay himself a big chunk of that money. Hey, David Weiss just finished his Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwich. Mine wasn't Jimmy Dean. Mine was from 7-Eleven. Sometimes I buy the Jimmy Dean ones and, you know, and bring them home. The Jimmy Dean ones aren't bad. Full mod capacity. Yep, I believe so. Hopefully, yeah. There's Aaron. Yeah, yep, we're both here. Okay, all right. It's just hard to know because it's such a lag. I know I'm like 20 minutes behind at least, so that's why I wasn't sure. Like right now, I'm not sure. Like you guys are saying both are here, but that was 20 minutes ago, and you might not be here now. So, Aaron West, 5K, Hennessy D8. Yep. Look at that. We're creeping up on it. 4460. Quick math. I believe that's 540. Right? Yeah, 540 away. At this rate that we're going, I don't know how many years is going to be, though. I don't know. We're, like I said, I think we're averaging about maybe one new subscriber a day. That's 30 a month. So 30 goes into 500. How many times? 15 times or something? I don't know. Is it going to take 15 months? Well, good thing. I don't think Hennessy will spoil. Hopefully, it'll still be good in 15 months. I mean, I've already had it for probably 15 months. Anyhow, so I don't know. Hopefully, it's still good. I love dipping these. Don't tell Tough Cookie, but I love dipping these cookies in my coffee. Robert Perez is here. Hey, Robert Perez, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in from San Diego way. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you, Robert Perez. DBD says, of course it's okay to like your own stuff. All right, thank you. Do you guys like it? Because it didn't get very many views. I posted it. And, you know, a lot of I put it as a short and as a video. It hasn't gotten very many views. So I'm thinking maybe people don't like it. I don't know. Rosanna loves it, though. Thank you, Rosanna. Rosanna21. You love well, which one? Is it the new one? The new one about pissing on Trump's grave? That's what I'm talking about. Anyhow, this coffee is pretty good. I like the 7-Eleven coffee better than I like that Don Francisco that I bought. I'm drinking 7-Eleven coffee today. Roxanne says, good riddance, job of the Fultz. Yeah. But he says, no, TJ, the older I get, the less I find myself able to tolerate. Yeah, and I get it. I get it. It's like, you know, I think we're all kind of on our last nerve, right? I mean, my God, it's been a decade. It's been a fucking decade putting up with Trump's shit. I mean, yeah, that's enough to drive anyone crazy or just exhausted. That's why I put that in the lyrics of that song, my new song. I put the word exhausted in there, like, because I think we're just exhausted from all this constantly, every single day. It's something new with this motherfucker. It's some new grift. It's some shit. Every fucking day, man. And I think so. I think we're all, you know, like I said, on our last nerve, you know. Roxanne says, Josh, she was crushing on you. She was. And in the Facebook message that she sent me, she mentioned Josh. She says, please let me back in because I miss Josh or something like that. DPD says, I wouldn't lie to you. I know. I just wanted to check. For my own gratification? I don't think gratification is the right word. For my own knowledge, I guess. Petrozzi says, hoping Melissa Strange beats is it Gellerine or Gellerine? I'm never sure when that G makes the J sound or a hard G sound, but in November I'm going to try my hardest to make her my Congress representative. Petrozzi, where's this happening? Where is this taking place? All right, Tough Cookie, you can come back in now. I'm done eating the cookie. Danny Pomeroy's here. Hey, Danny Pomeroy, good to see you. He's going to go cut the grass. Nick Rich. Acronyms are for lazy folks. IMHO. That's funny. Well, okay, hopefully this is the last thing I'll say about Sandy. Hopefully she will get the help that she needs, because I think she's definitely got some mental issues, and hopefully she will get whatever help she needs with that regard. Elizabeth Martinez says, Buenos dias, John. Hello to all. I've been so busy moving. I gave my mobile home to a soul sister. She really needed it, and I couldn't take care of my home anymore. Well, I hope everything's going well with the move and make the best of it. You know, hopefully things get better for you. MJ Daniel from up there in Washington State says, families of the Capitol Police need to sue for every penny of that money. And yeah, if the money's going to be going out, but the thing about it, that's taxpayer money. So it shouldn't even be there in the first place. This whole thing is a big sham of just Trump bilking the American taxpayers for more billions of dollars. But yeah, if it's going to be going out to anyone, yeah, it should be going out to families of the officers that died. I agree with that. MJ, no milk for I have milk, but when you got coffee, why not just use the coffee? Complaining to Scrapes, yeah. I think I heard him out there. And here I'm just now scrolling to the $100 donor from Michael. So you're gonna get another yippee. And I gave you a thumbs up and a heart. So thank you so much. I do appreciate that. DPD says, my husband and I were talking about the orange pedophile using the slush fund to pay for his own militia just in time for the midterms. There you go. That's right. Yeah, how many of those Proud Boys are going to get that money? And, you know, all those other white nationalist groups that were in there. Now, I know Indivisible. Do you guys subscribe or whatever to Indivisible? Because I do. And so they send out, you know, little newsletters or whatever. And they're trying to, it's like a fundraising thing, I guess. Because they have identified, I think, 7 key states and then also other states, not just these 7. But some of these things like Texas and South Carolina. And that was 2 of the 7. I forget the others. But where they're anticipating that there's probably going to be some kind of shenanigans, shall we say. Just bring your broom. Remember to if it's shenanigans. I don't know. Indivisible is trying to do something. I don't know what they're going to do, just besides being more observant or something. They're not planning on any type of like physical confrontation, but they're trying to I guess get sort of hyper aware of a lot of these battleground states and red areas or where there might be voter suppression and intimidation tactics going on. So you might want to check out Indivisible, see what they're doing. They might have some ideas. Mr. Spock, oh yeah. Hi, Mr. Spock. Whenever Mr. Spock comes on, now I just feel totally self-conscious about my lack of eyebrows. Actually, I have eyebrows. They're just very light. They're very light. Mr. Spock says, you should invest that money into Clucky Bucks. I have no idea what the Clucky Buck is. It has something to do with chickens. And Mr. Spock is the fowler, the keeper of the fowl. So that makes sense that he would mention Clucky Bucks. Big Hook, the big hook from Canuck. From Canuck. The Canuck is here. 9:54 TJ time reference. So I'm only about 11 minutes behind. I'm about 11 minutes behind. 11 minutes behind. I'm about 11 minutes behind. Danny Pomeroy says, that's not what they had planned. It was all them congressmen and women and Republican senators wanted hundreds of millions from that fund into DOJ looking into their phone records. They said Biden fault. Yeah, that's part of the what they call, I guess, the lawfare. They accused them of being unfairly treated and singled out. But they're really what they're afraid of is like, oh my God, they're going to see I was calling this Proud Boys dude, or I was calling Alex Jones or whatever. Jolie says, "Woot, just got the call, mammogram all clear, done until next year. Yippee, Jolie, that's great news. That's great news. The boobies are safe for another year." Josh C says, "I was just thinking about how I don't see the Jimmy Dean egg muffins with Canadian bacon anymore. Then Spock and Big Hook show up. Bum. Was that a joke? No. DBD says, "You are correct, TJ. It's 5:40. Now I don't know what that was about. I don't even remember what I asked, and then that would require a number answer. Oh, the sub thing. Okay, yeah. 5:40. Yes, checking my math. Okay, thank you. Okay. Nick Rich, 10 a.m. I'm 8 minutes. I'm 8 minutes behind you, Nick Rich. 8 little teensy weensy tiny little minutes behind you, Nick Rich. Behind you, Nick Rich. Watch out. Petrozzi Massey's district in Kentucky. Oh, that's where you're at. Oh, so you're hoping strange. You want to get a little strange, huh? Who doesn't like to get a little strange every now and then, right? There's got to be some way that could be used in the election campaign. Ready for some strange? Vote for me. I don't know if Kentucky could handle that or not. Josh sees, I bet Massey will be back in some capacity. Who knows? Who cares? Because other than a couple of things like Epstein and opposing the Iran war, I don't think there's anything else I would agree with that guy on. So I really don't care, actually, what he does from here on out, politically or anything. Unless he just totally does a 180, kind of like Joe Walsh, kind of, even though I still don't trust him. I don't trust any of them as far as I could throw them. I never really understand these former Republicans that they have, and I shouldn't be so critical. I'm glad people wake up and see the errors of their ways and see how they were wrong, to be Republican and support Republican so-called ideology or their platform, which they don't have. That's good. It's a good thing. But I always wonder, like, okay, what changed? Okay, you got out because Donald Trump is such a shitbag, maybe. But what was it about the Republican Party you ever liked about it, even pre-Trump? What did you like about it when George W. Bush was president and he was a shit stain? What did you like about it when Reagan was fucking president? And he was a fucking asshole. And the Republican Party has been a shitty party for my entire life. I'm 65 years old. What did you like about them then? They've been anti-women, anti-gay, anti-everything, anti-social, social safety net, all that shit. So what now? All of a sudden, you denounce the Republican Party? What changed? It's always been a shit party. Why were you in the Republican Party to begin with? I guess I shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. If they want to, I'm not saying Massey is, but like Joe Walsh. Okay, if you want to get out of the Republican Party and become a Democrat, then God bless you. But still, I always wonder, like, what did you see about the Republicans in the first place? They've always been shitty. They've always, at least in my lifetime, because I know we get trolls in here and go, in 1860 there was the Democrats that started the Civil War and they were pro-slavery and they started the KKK. Don't you know anything? And I'm like, this isn't 1860 anymore. This is 2026. Which party is the one that's rolling back voting rights? Which party is disenfranchising black people? Which party is it that's eliminating House districts that had black representation? It's not the Democratic Party, honey. It's the fucking Republican Party. So don't come at me with this 1860 bullshit. I don't give a fuck about Democrats started the KKK and were pro-slavery in 1860. Last time I looked at the calendar, it's 2026. So, for all you maggot trolls that might stroll in, and if you are watching on the replay, leave a comment in the comment section. Don't be shy. Big Hook says, so the Republicans removed the ballroom funding in the reconciliation bill. Apparently, Trump is pissed. Wah, wah, little Trump, he's pissed. He's pissed and he's got poopy diaper. Time to change his diaper and put him down for a nappy. For a little nappy. Let's see. Petrozzi says, now that Massey and Cassidy list the primary, hopefully they block everything Trump wants for the rest of their term. What else? They got nothing to lose at this point. So, yeah, they lost the primary. Yeah, they got nothing to lose. I really don't see Massey really supporting Trump. He says he's got 7 more months to do some damage. DPD says, yes, we subscribe to Indivisible. So you saw the thing that Ezra, whatever his name is, put out about those states and how they're anticipating or at least being on the lookout for Republican shenanigans. He didn't use the word shenanigans, though. That's my word that I like to throw in there. MJ Daniel, I just don't trust those fuckers. If you see any MAGA loony around where you vote, call 911. Glad we have mail-in voting here. Now, Big Hook is going to warn you about the mail-in voting. I'm just calling it right now. I'm going to use the drop box. We have early voting, and it's right behind this property here is where I get to go. And it starts in 2 days, and they have drop boxes. And I'm just going to drop mine off of the drop box. At the drop box. We got drop boxes. Mama said we got drop boxes here in Nevada. Mama always told me we got drop boxes, and you could put you could put your filled out ballot in the drop box because that's what you get. You know what you're going to get. Mama always told me you know what you're going to get if you drop it off in the drop box. DBD says, keep in mind there may be some bullshit in Georgia since their Supreme Court is laden with Nazis. 540 TJ. Yeah. I figured it. I figured that part out. I figured that part out there. Jolie says, thanks everyone, TJ. When we're talking about my boobies specifically, I call them bubbies. Get it straight. That's right, because I don't think you like certain words. Like tits. I shall not say that. I should not have said that word. I know that. I remember that was you found a certain word about that part of the anatomy you did not like, and I believe it was the one that starts with the T. With a T. Christina Weibel says Massey and Cassie. Hey, that's a good. That rhymes. Are going to do some damage to Dinky. There you go. I like that. Some good alliteration going on there. By golly. Josh C says, from former Republicans caucusing with Democrats should be an indicator of how centrist the Dems can be. Well, I think we're seeing Republicans finally starting, even in Congress, not just the maggots at home. I think they've been some of them have been peeling away. I think we're starting to see finally some Republicans in office, maybe starting to fall away a little bit. Nick Rich says, Ike was the only Republican president with any class. Certainly within probably fairly recent history. I don't know. I mean, Abe Lincoln was a Republican, so I guess he was he classy? Was Abe Lincoln classy? I just wish he hadn't been such a theater fan. Is my wish. Josh C says, ooh, TJ just created a new character voice personality. Which one was it? I don't even know which one it was. They just pop in. MJ Daniel says, Nixon was president when I was still in grade school, and the Republican Party has been getting worse ever since. That. Me too. Nixon was president when I was in grade school. In 1968, he won the election, right? I was like in third grade or something. Yeah. And I hated him, especially when Watergate broke out, 4 years later or whatever it was. And I was like 12 and I was watching the Watergate hearings. My parents didn't watch that shit, but I was watching it. I was watching the Watergate hearings, and I remember telling my parents, like, Nixon's a fucking crook. Well, I didn't say fucking, though. Actually, I did not say the F word at that particular time. But and they were like, why? I go, because he had his men break into the Democratic Committee's office to steal files. And then there was a tape. They asked him to supply a tape that he had been recording people in the Oval Office. And there's like a 15-minute gap that he just erased. Come on, Dad. It's called obstruction of justice. Anyhow. Wayne Goal. I know, I forget how to. Wayne G, that's right. We're going with Wayne G. Wayne G says Reagan gave massive tax cuts to the rich and got rid of the fairness doctrine, which led us to where we are now. Fuck Reagan. Yeah, Reagan was a dick. Reagan was a dick. DBD says, is it possible, TJ, to change even Joe Walsh and George Conway? My uncle was a Republican who voted for Bush Sr. Oh, it is possible. Not is it possible. I transposed it. Yeah, it is possible. I know I didn't say it wasn't possible. I just said I still don't fully trust them. Like there's still something in me that says, why were you so gullible or stupid or whatever to be a Republican in the first place? I'm like, okay, I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. I'm just saying I don't think especially It's different if it's your uncle, but this, like Conway is a political guy. Joe Walsh was a House rep, right? He was elected political official or whatever. That's a little different. I just don't I don't even fully trust George Conway. I see George Conway as just like an opportunist that will just see the best opportunity to, I don't know, get famous or make money or go on shows. And it's like, oh, this is George Conway. He was once the big righty. Now he's a big lefty. Let's put him on the show. So I don't fully trust him. Look what fucking Michael, what's his face did? Michael Cohen. Just big liars, big grifters. They just, just out for themselves. If on one day they find it to their advantage to be a lib, they'll be a lib. And then if they find the best way is to go back to being a conservative, they'll be a conservative or whatever. I'm not saying that about your uncle and shit. That's different, but unless your uncle had a TV show or was on TV shows a lot. I don't know. And more, I'm also using a Dropbox, which is 5-minute walk. Yeah, I think mine's even less than that away. So Ezra Levin, yes, PPD. Ezra Levin is his name, and yes, I did see it. Get his name straight, TJ. It's Ezra Levin. Don't fuck up his name. Mr. Spock, Trump replaced all the drop boxes with a paper shredder. Not here in Nevada, he didn't. Josh sees mine is a local firehouse a quarter-mile away. Oh, did I skip the Troll Slayer? 007 Kevin, the Troll Slayer. There you are. Hello, 007 Kevin, Troll Slayer. Good to see you. Troll Slayer, yeah. Ezra Levin is the No Kings guy. Yeah, No Kings. That came from Indivisible, and Ezra Levin and his wife. Let's not leave her out. I can't remember her name. I'm just gonna call her Tina. No, whatever her name is, she's just as big as part of it as he is, I think. But yeah. Tina Levin. No, I don't remember. Mr. Spock, the correct term is mammary glands. Josh sees the business for MAGA troll character voice. Wayne G says my voting place is in Town Hall, a small village of Nama. I've always voted in person on election day. Yeah, I know a lot of people like to wait and do it on election day, which is fine. It's fine, just as long as you get it in there. That's what she said. No. Jolie says, laughing my ass off. Not a fan of titties. Boobies are fine. But mine specifically, I prefer bubbies. The more you know. All right. Glad those bubbies are okay. Double 7 Kevin Troll Slayer says, my dad was in school in Atlantic, Iowa, when they said Kennedy got shot. It reminds me of that GNR, that Guns N' Roses song. Is it called Civil War? What's the line? Where's Liberal Dan? He's probably not here now, but what's the line? It's like, there is a line about when Kennedy got shot, I think. Because it always made me think, I don't think Axl Rose was even alive then, but maybe he wasn't. I was about 3. I think I had just turned 3 the previous month when JFK was assassinated. So I have no recollection of it whatsoever. But that murder, that assassination, I just felt like it was still deeply on the minds of Americans for at least a decade after that. And then, of course, having MLK assassinated, having then JFK's brother, RFK, be assassinated, and the whole thing, the civil, but the Vietnam War, the whole thing, it was just, there was this sort of dark cloud that seemed to just hang over certainly the decade of the 60s, the rest of the decade. And then I was thinking about that, about decades. Like, it's kind of weird. I don't know if it's the same for you guys or not, but when I think back on my life, it seems like the 60s, like each decade is sort of distinct, very distinct from the next. The 60s, it was Vietnam War, it was political, it was hippies, summer of love, all that, sex, drugs, all that. In the 70s, of course, we're getting out of Vietnam. There's Watergate, Nixon. Then there's the disco era. There's the big disco clothes and disco music. And then the 80s, everything's kind of a little more stripped down again. There's no more disco. All that stuff is gone. Everything is just sort of this stripped down kind of Springsteen. This is just me, but like the 90s, of course, is like Nirvana. I guess I think of music, but I think of, we're like right in Clinton, Bill Clinton, we're getting out of Reaganomics. Things are coming around. And then the 2000, we've got the new millennia or whatever. But then it seems like the 2000s all kind of blend together. Like each decade, and it's probably different. Maybe if you were a kid, if you were born like my kids, they're Gen Z. I guess they're born in the late 90s. So for them, it might be different. Like they might think of the aughts as something, and the teens as something, and the 20s now. To them, those decades might be something very different and distinctive. But for me, it all just kind of blends together. I know we've got different, there's the Obama era, and now we've got the split with Trump, and then Biden and Trump. But the decades they don't seem to be as clearly defined. Like the 60s are definitely different than the 70s. And the 70s are different than the 80s, and the 80s are different than the 90s. But then when we get in the 2000s, to me, it all just sort of blends together. And I don't know if I'm the only one like that. And I know we could do, studies on, sort of pulp culture or just all this kind of stuff. And we could break down all these decades, the aughts and the teens and the 20s. But I don't know, to me, in my mind, it just, there's nothing really real difference like it was back, like I said, the 60s and 70s and stuff. So anyhow, DPD says that the voter drop boxes here at the Board of Elections has an app. You can view the drop box 24 hours a day. The camera they use is so good you could identify the back license plate of the vehicle. Wow. Wayne G says, I was in kindergarten when Kennedy was assassinated. All the teachers were crying. I was scared. We all cried. 007 Kevin says, I was not even thought of yet. Anna Moore says, whatever happened to his wife? We were talking about George Conroy. Whatever happened to his wife, Kelly Ann Conroy? I think I saw her on some news show not too long ago. She kind of resurfaced, but she did kind of go away for a while. But she's still around. I think I saw her on something not too long ago. Jolie says, I never bought into the Michael Cohen thing. Hated that MTN promoted his show. The guy was so clearly shady as fuck. Brooklyn, SJUAK, Luke Trixie LaRue is here. Hey, Brooklyn, good to see you. Thanks for popping on in. Wayne G says, I think Cohen is a monster. He acts like one. Oh, mobster. Because monster kind of made sense too, but yeah, mobster makes more sense. Yeah, yeah, and so does Trump. They think they're mobsters, but if they were real mobsters, they probably wouldn't be around any longer. They probably would have been whacked a long time ago. DPD says, TJ, my uncle being a Republican caused a minor friction in our family. It wasn't good. Thank God he made it through. And Ezra's wife's name is Leah Greenberg. Yes, Tina, otherwise known as, henceforth known as Tina. Let it be known that Leah Greenberg shall henceforth, as I decree it, Lord Trucker John, shall henceforth be referred to as Tina. Thank you for the clarification. Petrozzi, this is the worst timeline of my lifetime. Jolie says, both of my kids are mid-20s. They don't see a distinction between their 2 decades. They've made comments about it before when they talk about wishing they could have grown up in the 80s. Yeah, isn't that kind of weird? Like, yeah, I don't think there really is any big distinctions in the 2000s. Like when I grew up, like the 60s are very distinct and the 70s are distinct. There's just these, there might be I think every decade, there's a bit of an overlap between decades. It doesn't just end. The decade doesn't know that it's ending exactly at, December 31st at midnight or whatever. But there is a really clear difference between these decades. But now, like you say, in the 20s and the teens and stuff, it just all sort of blurs together. Christina Weibel, did I hear my name, Tina? Yeah, I think I've just said it about 33 times. Don't you think Leah Greenberg should be Tina? She looks like a Tina to me. I don't know. Jolie says, Trucker John, that would be me, as channel memberships and super chats. And those are the 2 main ways that this show gets supported. So thank you very much for all that have supported the show through that way. And you can like and subscribe and share, which is also a great way to maybe hopefully get us some more subscribers and get to the 5K Hennessy Day. You can also support the show by going to Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal. There's the PayPal link. Oh, and there's the GoFundMe. Thank you so much, Jolie, for putting that in. I also have Discord, not where we can hang out. If you guys want to hang out more or go in, I know Big Hook was in there. I haven't seen. I think Big Hook dropped some more videos in there. I didn't have a chance to look at them this morning, but we have Discord, and there's a driver's lounge in my Discord where we can hang out. I also have a 5K Hennessy Day channel on there where if you want to, you're just wondering, I wonder how many what he's up to on his sub number. And I post updates on that in there. IB YouTubing is here. Hey, IB YouTubing. Says Kellyanne Conrad is a contributor. You can, I don't know what that means. For who? You can see for who? Fox. You can see her on Fox is the 5. Yeah, I think I've seen her somewhere. It must have been there. That must have been where it was. Thank you, I'm YouTubing for that. Anna Moore says, doesn't redistricting happen every 10 years? Yes, it does. It happens every 10 years. That's why it's very, 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 very important. Very important that we win in 2028. Very important. Look, until that decade, it's ending. Christina Wild says, my son was born in 1980. He will be 46 on Saturday. Well, happy birthday to your son. There's the Discord. Thank you, Jolie. Yeah, we got Discord. In case, you're just pining for old Trucker John. You're just missing me so much. You can go into Discord and maybe I'll be in there. Maybe we'll hang out. I don't know. Or you can say hi, whatever, or see the stuff because I post my clips, like my intros in there and stuff. And like I said, Big Hook's been in there. He's been dropping a lot of really great videos. If you want to check those out. Troll Slayer says, Christina, my turn on 48 is coming next 20th. Shivers. Mr. Spuck, right on, getting beer later. Right on. Right on. Right on, dude. Right on. It's good to have a little beer to wash all that pot down with. It's good to have a little beer to wash it down with. All right, right on, dude. IB YouTubing says in Texas, the Republican Party tries to, and I've caught up to the chat, by the way. IB YouTubing says in Texas, the Republican Party tries to suppress the vote in whatever way they can. In Harris County, which includes Houston and a lot of African-American population, they removed many of the drop boxes. Yep, that's Republican suppression, voter suppression. Brooklyn says Michael and McKenzie and Fancy are. I think so. That's what I've heard. Now, Michael, I don't know if Michael's still in here. He did drop $100 dono and said it's from him and Fancy, and I've heard. I heard around. Been hearing around that they're like an item. So I think that hopefully I'm not saying something false or whatever. Yeah, Anna Moore says Cohen taught DJT all the tricks to cheat the government. Yeah, well, probably him and probably the other Cohen. Not Michael Cohen, but the original Cohen. What's his name? I should know him because I played him in a scene from Angels in America. Roy Cohen. I think it's a different spelling. Is this a different spelling? But Roy Cohen was DJT's big mentor. His probably first, his fucking racist father, and then his racist self-hating gay man Roy Cohn, who's not a homosexual. I don't know why I was giving him a southern accent. He was like from Brooklyn or something. Roy Cohn, who said, at least in Angels in America, and I think it's taken from something he really said. He said something like, "I'm not a homosexual. I'm a guy who likes to have sex with other guys," or something. I have an Angels in America clip of me playing Roy Cohn, but I gave him a. I don't know why I gave him sort of a southern accent because I was sort of thinking about Pacino, because Pacino played him in Angels in America, the TV show, and I know he didn't use a southern accent in that, but I know I was thinking of like, what's the one where he goes "oorah" and he was blind? For some reason, I was thinking Pacino in that, and it just sort of came out that way. It kind of came out southern. So every time I watch that clip of me doing the Angels in America scene. I'm always like, oh, why did I give him like a southern little thing when Roy Cohn was a New Yorker through and through, not a southern ounce of southern in him, unless he was being fucked by some dude that was from the South. Anyhow, Nick Ridge says TJ catches up, and then what? Then I get to talk about Roy Cohn and butt fucking. Yeah, Roy Cohn. Everyone's going, yep, Roy Cohn. Yeah, that was probably his big DJT's big mentor, whatever. DBD says, I think the difference between George and Kellyanne is she has unwavering admiration for the orange pedophile, and George also co-founded the Lincoln Project with Rick Wilson, another former Republican. And I think the Lincoln Project has put out some really great little funny, jabs at Trump with the clips they made. I don't you don't call them really advertisements, but whatever those are called that they put out. At least they used to. I haven't seen it in a while, but still, whenever I see Rick Wilson, I'm like, what changed? Like, what made you not be a dirtbag anymore? If it wasn't for Trump being who Trump is, let's say if Mitt Romney was president, would you still be a Republican? Would you still support Republican values? Would you still be anti-bodily autonomy? Would you still be against a strong social safety net? Would you still be against Medicare for all? Would you still be against environmental protections? Would you still be against all that shit? That's what I think of when I see Rick Wilson and George Conway and all these motherfuckers. I'm glad. Okay, they came out and they made some funny videos and stuff that against Trump. But what did it do any good? He still won. So I don't think the Lincoln Project really did anything. Scent of a Woman. Thank you, Liberal Dan. Liberal Dan. See, all I got to do is ask for some movie reference or a song reference, and Liberal Dan's going to be right there. Did you? Maybe you weren't in, Liberal Dan. I was wondering about the Guns N' Roses song. I think that there's a line about when JFK was shot, because we were talking about that earlier. Petrozzi says Pacino did a good job, and he did a great job. And I'm just saying that when I did my scene for Angels in America, the name of the class was called, I think it was called Directing the Actor for the Camera or something like that. So we all had to do scenes. We had like each person in the class got to direct a scene, and then everyone in the class, and it would rotate around so that like on one project you might be the DP, one project you might be the sound guy, on one project you might be a prop master, and on one project you might be an actor, and so one of the guys in the class, his name was Josh, I can't remember Josh's name, he did this scene from Angels in America, and I was one of the actors in that, and I have it posted somewhere on one of my, I think it's in the channel, in the playlist. But I know Pacino did a great job. But for some reason, and I knew that, and I didn't really watch it. I wasn't trying to copy it, but I had seen Angels in America, I think, years before, and I knew that Pacino played Roy Cohn. But that was it. I didn't go back and like study it and try to copy it. I kind of wish I had now, because I would have remembered that Pacino and Roy Cohn are fucking New Yorkers, But I kind of gave him not really a Southern accent, but it certainly wasn't anything Brooklynite or, because I probably should have been like, I don't know. What's the line? Roy Cohn is not a homosexual. Roy Cohn is a guy that likes to have sex with other guys. I should have done something like that, maybe. But maybe I would think I was just afraid of being too over the top or something. And so I gave it sort of this sort of Southern thing, like, and it just, every time I watch it, and we pretty much have to do those in one take because the class is, you're doing it within the class. The class was like an hour and a half long, but it was like, I think once or twice a week. I forget now. It might have been twice a week class. And so, there's not, by the time you set up and the stupid teacher, I would get kind of pissed off because the teacher would take a good portion of that hour and a half to do like lecturing shit and doing shit. And it, like, I remember when it was my time to do my scene for me to direct, I was like, come on, man, come on. Clock's a ticking. And I directed a scene. And every time I watch that scene, I'm like, God, I wish I could have gotten more takes. There was just a couple parts where I was able to cut, yell cut, and then start over and redo it. But for a lot of it, it was just one take or maybe two takes, because the fucking teacher would take almost over half an hour in the beginning of the class, or sometimes 45 minutes, and then you have only 45 minutes left. Anyhow, it was very inconsiderate of the teacher. Aaron West. I stage managed Angel in America, played both parts in 2008. The play. Yeah, I remember. I think I've heard you say that before, because whenever I talk about Angel in America, that I was my little scene I did. I've heard you do that. Yeah, Scent of a Woman. Yeah, I think I was doing the Scent of a Woman Pacino instead of the Roy Cohn Pacino, which is unfortunate because it just, it just wasn't right. Yeah, IBU says Roy taught DJT to never admit to anything, especially when wrong. Petrozzi, I bet Roy Cohn got a piece of Dinky. Although I think, yeah, maybe on the receiving side of it, probably. Yeah. Yeah, it was Civil War. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was Civil War. So that line was in there. Yeah, about JFK being shot. Yeah. IBU Tipping says Republican defectors like Rick Wilson, Joe Walsh, and Conrad are anti-Trump. Yeah, I guess they're just anti-Trump. Maybe they're not anti-Republican. I think, although Joe Walsh has said that he is now a Democrat, I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that he is now like a registered Democrat. I don't know about Conrad and Wilson. I don't trust Rick Wilson. I don't trust Conrad. Joe Walsh, I kind of trust, I guess, maybe, whatever trust means. But I still am like, okay, so are you fully on board with giving women the right to have full control over their bodies, to make their decisions, their own reproductive choices? That's the number one thing I would ask these motherfuckers. Mrs. Buck, were you ever a fluffer? Why would you even ask that? That's so stupid. If I was a fluffer. You're a fluffer. DPD says, well, technically Rick Wilson identifies himself as independent. He switched because he felt the Republican core values changed. Yeah, see, fuck Rick Wilson. Fuck him. He's an asshole. He should just come out and say the Republican Party was never any good. At least not within his lifetime. Because the party rebuked the Constitution and civil liberties. Fuck Rick Wilson. He's an asshole. Josh C. says, IBU tipping wasn't Ron Flipikowski. Yeah, Flipikowski too. I have the same question for you, Flipikowski. Are you fully on board with women having full bodily autonomy? Number one question. And if you hesitate in the slightest, then fuck you. I know Flipikowski does a lot of good work, a lot of good investigative stuff, but I don't trust you. I don't 100% trust you. Because let's face it, Flipikowski and Wilson, you were Republicans because you're anti-tax and you're anti-regulation. Fucking just face it. And you didn't care if that meant going along with a party that was going to strip women's rights away from them, strip gay rights away, strip away equal rights and equality. You didn't give a shit about any of that. As long as their taxes were low and regulations were wiped out. That's the bottom line. So fuck you, Rick Wilson. Fuck you, Ron Flipikowski. Or whatever the fuck your flippin' stupid name is. IBU Jimmy says Roy Cohn introduced Trump to Roger Stone. Another one of his protege, Roger Stone, was a big Nixon fan. Yeah, so much so that he put a big-ass Richard Nixon face tattoo, I believe, on his back. Talk about a fucking sick fuck. I don't care. You know, like Bruce Springsteen, I don't know if I idolize him, but I love Bruce Springsteen. I think he's great. And he's been one of my favorite rock stars, rock performers, artists since the 80s. I don't care how much I love that dude. I'm not going to get a big, giant fucking tattoo of Bruce Springsteen's face on my back or anywhere on my body. Not going to do it. Yeah, Roger Stone is a fucking psycho. A fucking psycho. Josh C says, DPD, I heard him say some shit that those old colors still bleed through. Who, Flipikowski or Rick Wilson? TPD, I believe that's not all Roy taught the orange pedophile. Has anyone ever seen a picture of Trump laying on the bed in the white robe? Gay, and gayer. I think I have seen that picture, unfortunately. TPD, we donate to the Lincoln Project from time to time. Well, okay. Like I said, they had some funny, like, just, digs at Trump, really trying to poke the bear, really, trying to piss him off. I don't think it did anything. I don't think it moved the election or moved, I don't think it did anything. I don't think that's what got Biden the election. So I don't know. Josh C says Trump should get a Roger Stone tattoo. Wayne G, the criminal Roger Stone. Christina Weibel, otherwise known as Tina, says, got to go run errands. See you later. All right, Christina, thanks for being here. I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you coming in and hanging out. We'll be back on Thursday. What day's the date? Is today Thursday? Oh, wait. Today's Thursday. I'm losing track of the week. We'll be back on Saturday. Christina, right after. Well, I guess Hal's going to do the radio show. I know he's traveling. He's not doing he's not doing any shows this week, I don't think. But Saturday, he always does the radio show. So we'll be on Saturday right after Hal, 11 a.m. Pacific time. I was thinking maybe doing his impromptus since Hal's not on, but I'm going to be working a lot though. This is Memorial Day weekend, and in my last 4 years of being here, of doing either ride share or taxi driving, Memorial Day weekend is one of the biggest weekends of the year. And even with this down economy, I think it's still going to be a pretty big weekend. I was out last night. I only worked like 5.5 hours, and I got 11 trips. Sometimes I don't get 11 trips in like 8 hours, but I got like 11 trips in like 5 hours. So I was humming along. So even on Wednesday, I think everyone was starting to come into town already for this long weekend. So this should be a big weekend. So I'll probably be concentrating on driving, but I might do an impromptu on Friday morning, maybe tomorrow morning. I know for some reason I'm acting like this is Tuesday or something, but tomorrow I might do an impromptu. So be on the lookout. Hit that notification bell, or just be on the lookout for old Trucker John. So I might do an impromptu tomorrow morning, sometime. IB YouTube, it says Jossie's looked up Ron Flipkowski, and they list him first as Republican Party and then Democrat. He is co-editor of Midas Network. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he does good work. I've seen his stuff. He does good work and everything, but I still don't trust him. And I want to know what his views are right now today on abortion, on Medicare for all, on just all of the Democratic platform issues. Petrazi, $10. Thank you, Petrazi. Thank you so much. Yippee, $10. I guess the goal had ended. Oh no, it got 32 minutes. I don't know why it's not showing up on the goal thingy. The goal says that there's still 32 minutes. I don't know why that didn't show up. And also, Michael's should have shown up. So that should be 2. I don't know what's going on with the goal thing. We've got at least 2 out of 5. So thank you so much, Petrazi. Thank you again, Michael. Yippee, and I gave you a thumbs up and a heart. And Petrazi says, everyone have a great day. Good show, TJ. Thanks. Thank you, Petrazi, for being here, as always. Thanks for your support. And again, maybe I'll do an impromptu tomorrow morning, because I think Hal's going to be off, unless we get news that Hal's going to pop in or something. But maybe I'll come in the morning and do a little impromptu. And if not, for sure, well, either way, Saturday at 11, right after House Sparks Mega Worldwide on Saturday. Josh, he says, yeah, I be YouTubing. He does a Wednesday show with Anthony Davis, and it's usually good. Is Anthony Davis the English bloke? The English bloke? Hey, look, I know, like I said, I've seen Flipkowski. I've seen his show, and I've seen him, and he's sound. He's good. That's what sound means, I think. He's good. He's said good things. He says the right things. But I just want to know if his conversion is complete. Where does he stand now on abortion, or is he hesitating? Like, where does Ron Flipkowski stand on abortion? That's what I want to know. Where does Ron Flipkowski stand on taxing billionaires out of existence? That's what I want to know. Where does Ron Flipkowski stand on using tax dollars to fund Medicare for all or healthcare subsidies? Where does he stand on these issues? That's what I want to know. Nick Rich, the goal hasn't registered on my screen. Yeah, for some reason, mine either. I don't know. Sometimes YouTube messes up, but I know we've got at least 2 out of 5. So thank you so much for the 2 out of 5 on our goal. I don't know why it's not showing it. It says 0 out of 5. But I know that Michael and Petrazi both were part of the goal. So thank you guys again. It's just some sort of glitch. I guess it's glitching, Nick. It's some sort of a glitch. They'll probably get it worked out. DBD says, CJ, I know you won't try mushroom coffee, but have you considered protein coffee? I don't even know what that is. I ain't never heard of it. I never heard of protein coffee. Now, we got mushroom coffee. We got dandelion coffee, apparently. There's coffee made out of some sort of feces in Africa. And now we got protein coffee. No, I have not considered it because I never even heard of it. I just buy coffee for the taste. I like the chock full of nuts. Aaron West, I had a protein latte from Dunkin' yesterday. It was good. What the hell is protein coffee? What do they put in it? Like gravy? Nick Rich says Trucker John needs to do a show on Friday all about artificial intelligence. That would be great. I was watching a show on YouTube. It was about a robot company making robots, and I was thinking, you know what? I wonder if Hal or Al. I wonder if Hal is watching this or he's watched it because it was totally something that Hal would watch. Yeah, the AI. If I did an AI show, it would be so incredibly stupid. Maybe I could have Rob Glenn come on. I know sometimes Rob Glenn used to come into the chat a couple times, but he's abandoned us for some reason. 007 Troll Slayer says, mushroom coffee, why don't they just call it Trump coffee? Yuck. Hey, Troll Slayer, some people stand by that coffee. They say it's really good. Troll Slayer Coffee World rolls eyes. Josh C says, I think I've heard Ron Flipikowski glitch on trans rights and immigration, pre-ICE insanity. Yeah, see there, he's deep down, he's still a fucking righty. Like I said, I'm all for people seeing the light, I guess, and coming over and becoming Democrats, but doesn't mean I'm going to completely trust you, especially if you're in social media and you've got doing a show, and and maybe it's just an opportunity. Maybe your come to Jesus moment was really just an opportunity. Hence the term opportunist that I said earlier. I don't know what Coffee World means, by the way. Is there a place called Coffee World? Mr. Spock says protein coffee has jizz in it. Oh, come on, Mr. First it was fluffing, the fluffing comment, and now the jizz in the coffee comment. Come on, man. You trying to get me shut down? You trying to get me shut down, Mr. Spock? Brooklyn, stop in the name of... DPD, yes, I love Anthony Davis. He's the English bloke? Is it bloke? Where's Steve Mannion when you need him? Mr. Spock, sorry. You just couldn't help yourself, though. It was there. Everyone was probably thinking that. But Mr. Spock was like, hold my beer that I just went out and got. I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. DBD says, TJ, protein coffee helps to boost your energy levels. It also helps to build muscle. Oh. Well, I don't need any help there. No, I'm just kidding. I do. I haven't lifted weights in like 25 years. And there's a fucking... At the senior citizen thing, there's a fucking gym right here. I've been meaning, this same place where they have the drop-off ballot place is going to be. I've been meaning to go in there and see what they got. I don't know if they have free weights or not. They might have a machine, a weight machine. I wouldn't mind going in there and pumping a little iron. I need to do that. I need to get in there. It also helps build muscle by helping to build amino acids. It also helps with appetite control. Are you saying I need to control my appetite? Jolie says, make it a double for Spock. Here's another one. Oh boy. Where are we going with this? Josh says, I don't know that Ron was necessarily espousing those views or if he was explaining how right-wingers think about those topics. Brooklyn says, do they have donuts? Do they have protein donuts? Anyhow, maybe I'm too harsh on Flipikowski and Rick Wilson. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on Joe Walsh. I don't know. I still am Conrad Conroy. I don't know if I trust them completely. I'm glad they've had a turnaround. I'm glad that they've broken away from the Republican Party. Just not ever going to fully trust them. I just shouldn't really fully trust anybody. I mean, unless you really know someone, but like in real life or something. Hey, Vasantha Health is here. Didn't mean to use yelling in the microphone. Hey, Vasantha Health is here. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Anyhow, I think that's about it for today. I think did we cover everything? I know I was just reading the chat. But yeah, there's this shit going on. It's like every day there's it's either the same old shit or there's some new shit that comes along. The whole $1.776 billion slush fund, I think that I don't think that's going to go like Trump thought it's going to go. They're going to get sued. They've already got lawsuits, as you saw in the intro. It looked hinky as fuck from the very get-go. So we'll see how that shakes out, though. But I think everyone's onto it about what a grift that is. I think it just gets more and more people aware of what a grifter Trump is. What a grifter, and how he's just bilking the American people for every nickel and dime that he can. And this is just another example of it. It was the ballroom, and it was this with the slush fund. Even his Trump RX is a bunch of bullshit. His saying he doesn't take a presidential salary, which he does, by the way. Maybe he didn't in the first year or something, but he still takes that money. But even so, and then how he puts all this Secret Service and all and all of his staff when they travel, puts them all up in Trump properties, and they jack the rates up. It's not even just getting whatever regular rates. He'll jack the rates up. He's built the American people for millions and millions and millions of dollars in tax dollars just in doing that. Everything he does, everything Trump does is about cheating and grifting and bilking out millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in tax dollars. And then there's the whole market manipulation, the insider trading, how many millions of dollars. We know that Barron made, what was it, like $80 million or some shit? This little snot-nosed kid. So the grifting, the stealing from Americans just goes on daily. It goes on. It never stops. It won't stop until he's out of office, one way or the other. And like the song says, the great song by Trucker John. And when that day comes, Donald Trump, and on the ground that you'll lay, we're all just going to take a big old piss. With that, I will end it. I might do an impromptu tomorrow. I'll see you guys on Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, right here on the YouTube channel. I don't have any words of wisdom today. Sorry, I'm out of words of wisdom. So we're just going to have to just make the best of it.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes. Might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes. But if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hasta la vista, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid. But doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food, the movies and bugs, shining a light on all the social issues. No shows, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. pain for free. So you want to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love. It's all about the thrills, it's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows, so go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. It's so damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. I don't mourn when evil men die, I don't feel sad and I don't cry. Sometimes I wonder why it takes so long for evil men to die. But I want you to know that when you go, you won't be missed. And the ground where you'll lay, we're all gonna take a big giant piss. And for your end, we all anticipate, without any love and too exhausted to hate. Your long-lasting legacy will be one of disgrace and shame. Throughout the annals of history, your name will shrink, you'll lose your fame. And as you lay there take a big old piss.
Show's over. I'm out of here, folks. Bye.